Hello there. I turned on the microphone. A miracle. How are you all tonight? My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks, and this is Lighting the Way with Beth Green and Friends. I come on first, and then the friends come on a bit later. We are simultaneously uh, broadcasting on Facebook and YouTube. By the way, if you are on my public Facebook page and you write a comment, I should be able to see it. If you're on YouTube and you write a comment in the chat, I should be able to see it. If you're in the personal page, I won't. There is a chair here because there's another being sitting in the chair, and it's my dog, Charlie. So, anyway, with no further ado, I'm going to talk about introduce this topic. What do you do when reality seems too painful to bear? I'm not trying to depress you, but I think we need to talk about this. This is something that has happened to me, is happening to many of us in many ways right now. So, the reality that can be too painful to bear can be something very personal, like the loss of our health, the loss of a loved one. It can be something that is going to impact our entire lives forever. And something that might be too painful to bear might be the degradation of our society and seeing the United States becoming a police state. It wasn't great before, but it wasn't like this. And so, how do we deal with the pain of that? So, I want to start out by, as I say, I'm going to speak first and then I'll bring my guests on later to also comment. So I want to go over some of the things that I know that I do and that other people do too. I actually jotted down a few notes because there are so many I didn't want to forget. Okay, the first thing that I know that I do is deny that it's happening. I just don't want to believe it. How could it be? It's like, oh, yes, our president was certainly threatening to be a dictator, but we never thought that he would do it or that he would get away with it or that they would actually do this or that or the other thing. Now, despite the fact that they were told not to do this, they have taken people, immigrants, and throw them in there and sent them to South Sudan. I mean, there's no end to it. No due process. Evidently, according to the Guardian's reporting, the of the Venezuelans, at least 50 were people who had come in legally into the country and were just picked up. And when I think about that, what is happening to those people and their families, and what is happening to others who are immigrants, the fear, the terror, the torture. I mean, the family is suddenly losing their support. It just makes me sick. I don't want to believe that it's happening. It's just too painful to bear. That's just one example of what is happening, around this big, beautiful bill, giving tax breaks to the wealthy, stealing money from the poor. It's just throwing people off Medicaid. It's just too painful to bear. So what do? I want to pretend that it isn't happening. Now, after all this time, it's really hard to pretend that this isn't happening, but I'm sure there still are some people who want to believe that people who are demonstrating this, who are showing it, who are talking about it, they must be wrong. They must be making it up. It couldn't be. So that denial comes up because we don't want to face it. And so many people who voted for this administration are already hurting and are going to be hurt, and they just don't want to believe that this is happening and that they enabled it along with many others. So that's the first thing. We deny and we get into disbelief, and we get angry at people who try to tell the truth. The second thing that many of us do is we just fall apart emotionally. We cry, We're in despair. We get depressed. We're so overwhelmed by, okay, my husband is dying, or I remember at the age of 29, I was declared completely and permanently disabled. I was 29 years old. I mean, I knew that I was before that, but it was official. It became official. I just like felt like I had been hit over the head with a club, that it couldn't possibly be, that my life felt like it was over. And, or if I have lost someone dear to me, I can be completely devastated for long periods of time. And I know you have too. And I know that I'm feeling that now in our political, social situation as well. Now, the third thing that many of us do is we fight like hell to change it. There's a desperation in it. It can't be. We can't allow this. My husband has been diagnosed with terminal cancer, but it can't be. I'm going to get him pills. I'm going to get him this, or my husband is losing his cognitive abilities, and that's going to, and eventually he'll, I won't recognize him. He won't recognize me. This can't be. What can I do to fix this? Fix it, and fix it now. And along with that feeling comes this hysteria and this kind of brittleness within us. We have no relaxation. It's like, no, I'm not going to let this happen. You know, Sometimes that works over a very short period of time. You see the train is coming down the tracks, your baby is on the track, and you say, no, I'm not going to allow this. And you rush over to the tracks and you grab the child and you save them. Okay, that can happen. Or you rush over to the tracks, you grab the child, and you're both run over. I mean, it could go either way, can't it? But there is that kind of frantic, hysterical energy. And many of us are feeling that now. What can I do to stop this? As you watch the president and his Department of Justice arresting congresspeople and anybody else that they can. Okay. Now, another thing we try, number 4, is we try to escape. Some of us put a needle in our arms, some of us drink, some of us overeat, some of us are planning our next vacation. We play video games. It's like, as long as I am sort of above it all in some other none of this is really happening, I can forget about it. Now, I don't blame you for wanting to do that. I want to do that too. In fact, one of my favorite ways of escaping is thinking about moving. Now, I don't know why I think that moving is going to change anything in my life, but I think, oh yes, if we go here, we go there. In Alcoholics Anonymous, that's called a geographic. So I find myself doing that. I don't drink, but I did, but that's been 43 years. So, and some of us are dreaming about leaving the country. Maybe some of us will leave the country. Most of us are just dreaming about it because we really don't have the means to leave the country, or there's no place to go, or you're trying to get away from global warming. Global warming is another thing. How are you going to escape global warming? So we may try to escape. And, little bits and pieces of all of these, by the way, are healthy. There is nothing wrong with being in denial for a minute, for crying for an hour, for fighting to change things for 2 days, and trying to escape for a month. But hey, ultimately, none of these things are going to change anything. Now, let's say we do another one. After all of this, we just go numb. Anybody going numb yet? Like, I don't even want to read the news. I don't want to know what they're doing now. I don't want to see this. Uh, it isn't true that my husband is dying. By the way, it isn't true. My husband, James, is not dying, thank God. I don't know about my own health, but he's not dying. And, so you kind of go numb. And there's some value in going numb, right? All of these mechanisms try to save our sanity. Our brains are trying to save us from committing suicide because that is the ultimate escape. And if you are listening to this show, you have not committed suicide yet, no matter what terrible things have happened. And everybody has terrible things happening on a regular basis. So we can go numb. It's like, I don't even want to hear another thing. I don't hear it. I'm not here. Duh. Uh, that every one of these also can have a downside to it, as you can see. You can go to bed for a year. You can be in denial. Oh, Amy says, oh, yes. I like that. So she's obviously identifying with some of these. Thank you, Amy. Uh, Now, here's another one. Fight, but do it without the hysteria that we had in the beginning. When we fight to change it in a desperate way, it's like, okay, now I have to have my life. Oh, Amy says yes about going numb. I mean, okay, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, the downsides of going numb is that you're just numb, right? You're not able to respond appropriately to things. So now we can start fighting like, oh, I want to help my husband. I don't want to assume that he's dying of cancer, even though the prognosis may be very bad. It may be that a miracle will happen for him. Let's fight for that. That we can uh, try to oppose and resist what the government is doing, call them out, do all of these things. But we do it in a less hysterical manner because we've gotten through some of the earlier stages of denial and complete grief and disbelief and hysteria and all of that. And we find ourselves in a more calm place. And we are actually trying to do things. And we see this every day. I love looking out and watching others who are fighting the same things, other people whose husbands or wives had cancer or who had it themselves, for example. Get support from other people who've gone through the same thing. See how other people in our society are fighting back and how brave people are and how brave people have become standing up to an oppressive dictatorship, which we are getting into. Um, did you hear that Kristi Noem, the director of Homeland Security, has advised us that habeas corpus means it's the constitutional power that the president has to deport anybody. And actually, it's just the opposite. So you look at this and you think, oh my God, what world have we bought? The only thing that gives us any hope is how completely dysfunctional some of our leaders are. But now we get to the final part, at least the final part that I'm going to bring up right now, which is ultimately we have to make the best of it. Ugh! It's too painful to face, and you tell me that I need to make the best of it. What does that even mean? Well, first of all, we have to endure. Don't you hate that word? You have to endure. You get, I see we have another friend on board, Jeffrey. I haven't seen his message yet, but I see, oh, he's giving us all kinds of positive reinforcement for what I'm talking about. So, endurance is an incredibly important thing. Let's say you have fallen off a tree and you break your arm and it hurts like hell. And the ambulance is taking you, and it's 2.5 hours to the hospital. And when you get there, all they do is move you around and cause more pain for hours, right? You got to endure. You've got to live through it. We can't always take the pain away. We have to learn endurance. I don't like it either, guys. We have to endure this moment in history as well as fight it. You understand? But we have to be willing and able to endure the pain that we can't face. And we've all had to do it on physical planes, on emotional planes. We lose a parent that we love. We have a dog that we love, that really gets to me. Okay, so when we get to make the best of it, I mean, number one, we have to endure the pain and remind ourselves how much we have already endured. Look how many women endure childbirth and do it again. I don't know how they do it. I haven't had any children. I didn't have the health. Okay, the second thing under make the best of it is grow. Develop some part of yourself. Oh, Muhammad said, reality should be endured, madam. Yes, exactly, Muhammad. I don't like it. I'd rather be celebrating and having a good time, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can and take advantage of those great moments. Don't throw away the great moments because there's plenty to be miserable about. So that second point here is first to endure and then is to grow. Is like, what in myself am I noticing? How am I responding? How could I respond? Is there something else that I could be doing? Some other way that I could be managing this emotionally? Maybe I do want to fight back, but I'm too afraid. Maybe I can overcome my fear. Maybe I can speak, maybe I can speak to everyone. Maybe I confront people that I know who don't agree with me, who think everything is great. Uh, maybe I can get over the need to please people. Maybe there's something in this for me, for my growth as a human being. And I hate to say this because you're not going to hear this from me if anything happens to my husband, but I would say, have I become too dependent on him? Am I too reliant on him? Is there some way that I need to grow emotionally or spiritually? Is there something more that I need to take on? Is there some vocational thing that I need to do? Work on music, something that I've avoided doing for 20 years because all of a sudden I'm alone. Is there some way that I can grow spiritually, emotionally, even physically? And the final thing that I want to bring up here in my introduction to this topic is give. We endure, we grow, and we give. Try to help others. Helping other people is such an antidote to the pain that we can't endure. I can tell you honestly that I have been in situations where I had to do counseling, I was running a retreat, I had a broken arm, I was in a lot of pain, but I was so engaged in what I was doing. And I was really, really helping people. And during that time, it was so much easier to endure. We have a couple more comments. Muhammad said, reality should be endured. Yeah, he said that. Reality can be in manifestation, madam. All its forms should be born, madam. So we have to bear, however, reality. But, Muhammad, we also can fight and we also can try to help. We can try to help ourselves. We can try to help others. For example, let's say you have some illness that's really getting to you. Maybe it is a possibility that you could strengthen your body. Maybe you could change your diet. Maybe you could change your attitude. So it's not just about bearing, it's also about transforming. And that may help you to endure reality and still grow. And Jeffrey said, Christy gives gnomes a bad name. I think you meant gnomes, right, Jeffrey? Yes, yes, indeed. Uh, I think a lot of us are laughing about that. So, with no further ado, thank you for the comment so far. I am going to bring on my guest tonight. Number one tonight is James, and I've got you in the wrong. There we go, because I have too many people to do it that way. Hello, James.
Hello, everybody.
Then we have Todd.
Hi.
Thank you, Todd, for moving over so that we can see your face with your name tag on it. I
Okay.
really appreciate that. And then we have Lizzie.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the show. We're having some really lively responses already, which I love. And oh, Jeffrey said yes. Okay, yes. Okay. So who would like to share? Yes, James.
Well, my first tendency when there's a really painful situation comes up is to detach, to try to rise above it. I might do a meditation, rise above it,
Escape. Try
escape.
to escape. That was number 4.
That's number four. But then, if the problem persists, like Trump being in office, for example, then I realize that I have to endure a certain amount. There's only so many holes in the dike that we can put our fingers in to stop the stuff that's going on. And certainly there's not a lot I can do, but I have been involved in some demonstrations and so on, and composed some letters in my mind to send to some of these officials. But anyway, I think learning to grow from it is the most important thing. And I've had a tendency to polarize negatively, to get angry, get riled up.
Hmm.
My big lesson is to relax and be detached, be calm, and try to strategize, well, how best can I handle this situation? Instead of polarizing, try to understand what's going on from different points of view, and then try to get a comprehensive sort of approach to how to proceed.
That's very good, James. In fact, we have another comment, which I'll get to in a minute. But it's really important that developing our understanding is part of our growth. And that's how one of the ways that we make the best of things is by developing our understanding of what is happening, of why it is happening, and not just going into judgment and reactivity. So I think that's great. And Osvaldo said, I seek for immediate comfort in art, cycling, drinking, or friends. I love them all except for the drinking part, Osvaldo. I'm a graphic artist. I didn't know that. I was never good at dealing with reality anyway.
That's a good one.
Great comment. Well, I'm a musician. James is a musician, so whatever, right? But I'm a spiritual teacher. I just want to go off with Buddha. So I totally understand that. Thank you so much for sharing during the show. It's very unusual for you to join us live and make a comment. So that was great. Okay, who would like to share? Oh, you're seeing a little bit of the dog. You see, I wasn't lying. There
Yeah.
is a dog here.
He's scratching himself on the chair. He's kind of wiggling a little bit.
He is. He is. He is. Yeah. Okay, who would like to
I'll go
share?
next.
Todd, and then
Yeah,
Lizzie.
it's really interesting how timely this topic was. I was just thinking about something that's causing me pain.
Mm,
And I don't know if I should say it here, but it's definitely it's my kids eating sugar, drinking sodas. Like that's the worst with all the corn syrup and stuff. After all these conversations we had with them, and it's kind of heart wrenching for me
yeah.
because I know how bad it is for you. Especially at that kind of like it's like IV poison. That's the way I look at it anyway, and that's what my understanding is. So
It's true. It's
yeah,
true.
yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's painful but this has been helpful. Like I notice what I do is like I want to fight but that isn't necessarily effective because
You mean the
it's that
hysterical fighting that you have
the
to end it
hysterical
right now?
fighting. Yes, yes, like
That was
and I
right.
know when I was in my, late teens, I ate ice cream and had all kinds of things that weren't good. I never drank sodas, which is thank God I didn't. But just so this has been helpful because it's helping me get out of the hysterical part of it, and then just sharing with them, how I feel about it. I think is a good step. It's the fight without the hysteria, and growing, becoming more accepting of this is reality. This is their life. I can't control them. I don't have the power to do that. I can say how I feel and share with them, that it hurts me. It hurts me inside, but I can't manipulate them or force them or do anything like that. So,
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. And then if they don't change, then I have to endure that and grow from it and
that's right.
understand that I don't have
Somebody
control.
is messing with their microphone. Please be careful because we're hearing it.
Rattling. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So can you go on mute if you have to do that? Yeah, Todd, maybe you should just find a good study and give it to them and then say, just do what you want, but here's the information.
Right. Yes. The Robert Lustig, because they've been studying this forever at UC San Francisco. He's the main doctor that's behind the dangers of sugar. So I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay, there's yeah, he may be one of them, the dangers of sugar. So, by the way, Mohammed said, is your co-host speaking from another studio, madam? On this show, Lighting the Way, I don't have a co-host exactly. I have me and three others, and everybody is in their own studio because we do it all on the internet. So that's how we get everybody on. For instance, Todd and Lizzie are in San Diego, and James and I are in Oregon. So, yeah, so that's but I wanted to ask you, is that pain too much for you to bear? Is it too
No,
painful
I
for you to
mean,
bear?
no, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like I think about the potential consequences down the road, because I'm reading about Alzheimer's.
I'm asking you a question.
Okay.
Obnoxious as I am, that's my job. And by the way, Jeffries can clarify that it was gnomes. That's what I thought. Mr. Beer's Gnome's a bad name.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's cute because her name is Christy Gnome, but a different kind of gnome, a gnome with a G, a little guy. Okay, Todd, is this more painful than you can bear? Too painful to bear?
No, no, it's not.
Okay, so the first thing you have to do is stop thinking that it is
Uh-huh.
because you just rev yourself up more.
Okay.
You don't like it and you don't approve of it
Yeah.
and you're worried. But
Mhm.
it's not too painful to bear. It's not like if one of your children has been picked up and sent to South Sudan.
Yeah, yeah, that
You
is
know what I mean? I
that's
think it's really important, and I'm not trying to put you down. It
yeah, no, I
doesn't,
got it. But understanding what do we mean by so hard to bear? Yeah. Yeah.
right? Too hard,
Like if
too
your
painful.
husband, like Ambrego Garcia, like his wife. I know they had
Right,
some troubles, but like imagine just your husband
right.
being disappeared and being
Yeah,
sent to El Salvador and you having no way to get him back. I
right.
mean,
Pretending there is no. So that's right. So this is really important because one of the ways that we make ourselves hysterical is by revving up the anguish. And we have to put it in some kind of honest evaluation and ask yourself, why am I making this worse than it is?
mhm.
Not that it's a good thing, but it isn't
Yeah,
like they have cancer now and they're feeding the
right,
cancer cells.
right.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
you're
think
right.
about that. That's really interesting.
Okay.
And we have another comment from a Crystal. And she says, hi, Beth. Hi, Crystal. I don't think you've ever come on and spoken to us before. You're on YouTube. There's a bunch of people on YouTube. And if you're watching this show later on YouTube, you will not see these in the comments. They'll be under live chat, I think. And then they show up when they show up. But so don't think that you've been erased by me. You haven't. So how nice to meet you. And I'm so glad that you're with us. So now we are on to Lizzie.
Yes. Um,
But you had the advantage of hearing what I said to Todd, right?
yeah.
That-
Yeah. Well, I've done all of them. I do all of them. I'd say right now I'm just extremely busy with getting oriented to a new job, a new way of eating, which isn't just minus sugar, but it's all plant based, complete plant based, minus oil even. So that takes a lot of time and energy. So I'm not keeping up on what's going on. I get bits and pieces, and it's just really supportive to hear what you said. It just Yeah, it's so right. It makes sense. It's like grumble, but okay. So I I don't want to be hysterical and try and change things. I do want to do what I can. But yeah, grow. What can I learn from this? Which I don't know what I can learn from this. I'm sure there's something, but I seem to lack self awareness. So maybe somehow I'll develop some self awareness in this. um,
That is a very good point. And by the way, before you continue, because I want you to think about that very question you raised up, we have Crystal has said, "How are you? No, I'm new." Okay. And then she says, "I follow your channel." And then she said, "Granny kicks ass." That's
Yeah.
all
yes, she
Granny wants.
does.
So,
Yes, she
Crystal, thank you. Thank you. And we hope that you come back. I always love it when people praise me, obviously.
does.
It's better than being ignored, which is sometimes too painful to be endured. So think about that, Lizzie. What are you gaining from this?
Well,
I know what it is. So I'm
okay, go ahead. I don't.
okay. I think I know what it is. I think that you are learning to stop exaggerating because things really are bad. Oh, and Crystal says you're welcome. Things really are bad. I mean, we are becoming a police state now. They're investigating this one, and they're investigating that one, and they're threatening this, and they're threatening that, and they're threatening CBS, and they're threatening lawyers, and they're threatening Harvard, and they're threatening. Anyway, it's happening. But you have in the past really bent out of shape about little things that were not so consequential. And here you're watching, look what they're doing to trans people is just unbelievable. They're trying to wipe them off the face of the earth and deprive them of medical treatment. And it's really threatening them. But, so that we can look at things a little bit more objectively about, well, what is really happening to me right now? And what can I do to help rather than, oh my God, look what's happening. Look what's happening. So those of us who have had a tendency to easily get hysterical or worry or get upset are being compelled to keep breathing.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Is this making sense to you?
yeah, it is.
It's a point of growth
Mhm.
where you can keep focusing and what can I do and um, how can I help? Because remember, the last part of that is to give.
Give,
Is
give.
is how can I help other people? I was just like going through it this morning. And, I have enough problems in my life. And then there is in our society. I was going through it. And then I kept saying, I've got a show tonight and I've got to help. I can't just go on the show and whimper or complain or kvetch or be angry. There's a lot of people doing that. You don't need me for that. There's plenty of others doing that. Right? How can I be in reality and help people to stay grounded in what's happening and at the same time help people to cope, fight, and keep growing? We don't know where it's going. We'll find out. So, Lizzie, was that helpful?
Yes. Yeah.
Is there something you want to add?
I was trying to think if there's something else, but I can't remember.
Well, maybe we'll come back to if anyone else has something else to share. Any of my other guests here want to share something, feel inspired? What I can do is I'm going to go over the list again before we close. Oh, please give us a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. Click the notification button. It helps because YouTube then says, oh, somebody likes them. Uh, um, Follow us on um, uh,
Facebook.
Facebook. Give us a like or love on Facebook and follow. my public page and share this program with others. And then Mohammed says, kindly speak about how brutally the Palestinian children are being killed by dogs set upon them. Is this not reality and should we not fight it, Madam? Well, of course we should. Of course we should fight it. And that's one of the many things that we should fight and that we're not. And people are being punished for standing up. And even though I have empathy for the Jews in Israel, being Jewish myself, I am horrified, aghast, and totally condemnatory of what the Netanyahu government is doing. Amy said, I hardly ever think about helping others as a way to deal with difficult situations, as opposed to avoid dealing with it. Thank you for reminding me. Great comment, Amy. So the first, I'm just going to go over the list so that if you want to jot them down on the way out. The first thing that we do is deny, we're in disbelief, and we get angry at anybody who tells us the truth. I remember this woman telling me that she thought she saw my ex in a movie theater with another woman, and I was sure that she was completely wrong. Well, she wasn't wrong. So that was I was so indignant. Okay, the second thing is we can cry, we can feel overwhelmed, we can feel frozen with grief. That's very, very normal, very understandable, and sometimes it feels like it'll never end, but then of course we have to endure. The third is to fight to change it, but in this kind of desperate, hysterical way. It's got to stop now because so many things are painful and we want them to stop now. We want to stop killing Ukrainian children. We want to stop killing American children who are going to be losing health care and food. I mean, there is so much that we want to stop, but doing it in this hysterical way just kind of ruins us. Four is try to escape through drugs or alcohol, go on vacation, plan on a move, uh, dream about leaving the country. And Osvaldo came up with a couple cycling and some. I'm not going to suggest drinking, Osvaldo, but anyway, that was great. Different things, listening to music. Sometimes we need that break from reality. Take a walk. Get your mind on something else. Feed your mind and feed your soul. You can't just keep dealing with this stuff. Um, Five, go numb. That was Amy loved that one. She was that was one of her favorites. Go numb and see how that really impacts you. Six is to face it the best you can without being hysterical or fearful. In other words, fight it, but do it from a calm and centered place so that you're not falling apart emotionally. And the seventh was make the best of it, endure, grow, and give. So please share this program with others. Uh, YouTube will not let me promote these programs because they don't like. Uh, they say I'm electioneering. Obviously, you can see I'm running for president, so I am certainly electioneering. It's complete nonsense. But anyway, so your sharing these programs makes such a difference. And come back next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. for the next Lighting the Way. And so happy for all the people who joined us tonight on the chat. We've really had a Crystal for coming and Osvaldo and our regulars. I mean, people like Amy and sometimes Mohammed comes and Jeffrey. So I love it. I love you all so much for being with us, and so I don't feel so alone. And of course, number 8, which I didn't say, is get yourself a hug. Maybe that's the most important one of all. Love you. And let's all say goodbye. Remember, get